Today we're going to make 3 very different recipes with zucchini. If you have a lot of summer zucchini, this video is for you. For the first recipe, we're going to make chocolate zucchini bread. This recipe is great when you have large zucchini. So if you grow zucchini in the garden, you'll always run into a situation where you miss a few because the leaves tend to hide them. And then there'll be tremendous ones. Now, this is the largest one I have today, which is by no means a large zucchini. I mean, I've had ones sometimes that are this big. And the best purpose for them, because they get very waterlogged, is to use them for breads like this. So we need 1 1/3 cup of shredded zucchini that we'll do in a second. I have 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. I have 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. That's non-Dutch process. I have 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. I have 7 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So vegetable oil I prefer to use in a cake like this because it'll make it less dry. If you want to, you can substitute the same amount of butter. I have 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon espresso powder, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon fine sea salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so this recipe is good because we're going to shred the zucchini. I'm just going to use the 1/4-inch holes. Some recipes might say where you have to squeeze out all the water of the zucchini. You don't have to do that. We actually want kind of the wetness of this to make the cake moister. Now, I know you say that's not a word, moister, right, Tara? What should I say? Less dry.
More moist.
I'll just keep. I like moisture more than
it
saying less dry.
probably is a word. I don't know. I'm not a dictionary.
Yeah. So you don't have to peel the zucchini or anything. You can just go right in and just start shredding it. So this is 1 1/3 cups, roughly 160 grams, 170 grams.
You can also shred all of your zucchini, like if you have a ton of it, and then you can freeze it.
Yeah.
After you shred it.
That's the perfect thing to do with all of it.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of large zucchini and say like you just don't want to throw things out, you don't want to be wasteful. Zucchini is so prolific. If I grow 4 plants in a season, the amount of zucchini I will have, I mean, you can't even give them away mid-summer to anybody. That's 220, so that's a little bit much. That's 174. I'll just put this over to the side. And we'll just see if it's roughly 1 1/3 cups. Yeah, it's about. All right, just put this off to the side. All right, so we're just going to combine the dry ingredients. That's 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of non-Dutch process unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon espresso powder, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and then 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. This is a Tara recipe. She's like, why did I do that?
What I was confused on is the chocolate chips, because I usually add those at the very end, but
well,
you know what? It doesn't really matter.
Honestly, for breads like this, it doesn't make a difference. And if you're concerned too about saying like it has to be accurate with grams, it doesn't either. I mean, these breads, especially when you're making an olive oil type bread, not an olive oil, a vegetable oil bread, you're gonna be fine. Say your bread's a little bit wetter than, say like a recipe you didn't like measure exactly, it's a little bit wetter. It's just gonna take a little bit longer to bake. That's it. It's not gonna make much of a difference. And now, honestly, the same thing goes for pizza dough too, and all that stuff. That's the dry ingredients. Now we're gonna mix the wet ingredients. All right, so 2 eggs, 7 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So 7 tablespoons of vegetable oil is going to be 105 grams. 2 teaspoons vanilla, and then 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt.
I have 56 grams.
56 grams of what?
Greek yogurt.
Oh, so it's not a 1/4 cup.
Well, that's what it says, 1/4 cup, 56 grams.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what it is.
Okay.
1/4 cup is 60 grams. Yeah. Yeah, just so you know, like if you're ever trying to like figure out recipes and you say you want to be able to, because I'm talking to 93% of you who watch are US based, okay? Like maybe more. People on our website even get mad when I put the gram measurements. And I'm like, I'm trying to be helpful to everybody. But if you want just a quick conversion, just always go a cup, okay, is 240 grams on something like a liquid or anything, and 240 milliliters. They're going to be the same because they're going to have essentially the same density. Now, if you deal with stuff that's like liquid, like a honey, that's a little different because the densities are different. Say you're looking at a European recipe and it says 180 milliliters of wine. okay? That's always gonna be 3/4 a cup, okay? 3/4 US cup. It's always gonna be the same ratios. And I'm trying to approach this from a US perspective for you when I'm telling you this, because you know as well as I that we weren't taught this in school.
That's for liquids though. When you're talking about dry ingredients.
Dry ingredients are completely different because they have air in them. They have, it's like if you can't say like, oh, a cup of shredded zucchini is not going to weigh the same amount as a cup of diced zucchini. Okay, they're going to just fill up that volumetric measurement in a different way. They're going to be different weights. So I'm just mixing it like this. Tara, did you say that's good, or do you want me to like mix it really, really aggressively?
No, that's good. The thing with zucchini bread or banana bread or like any quick bread, which bread is really a misnomer, there's not like a whole lot of science behind it.
I know.
So do your best.
Okay, so that's the zucchini, and remember we didn't squeeze out the water, we didn't drain it. Okay, so that's that 1 1/3 cup of shredded zucchini. And now all I'm going to do is just fold in the dry ingredients.
And this is where you don't want to over mix it.
Yeah, if you over mix it, it's going to get tougher.
Yeah.
So I'm using a spatula to fold it.
A what?
Spatula to fold it. What?
Spatula?
Spatula. And what's good about this, you don't have to like break out. You don't need any special tools for this. You don't have to have, like a mixer or anything.
Yeah, you'd never use like a KitchenAid or a hand mixer for a quick bread like this.
Yeah. So all I'm doing is just folding it until there's no more dry showing, where it's basically wet. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna use a standard 8-inch loaf pan. And just so you know, like this is a USA brand pan from Amazon. If you look at the dimensions, they'll be like it's an 8-inch loaf pan. 8-inch would be from the bottom of it, okay? But they also give the dimensions for the top, and then they're measuring in the interior. So 8.5 by 4.5 by about 3. This is great, this one, it will fit it. You really just don't wanna have a situation where, because it's gonna rise when you're baking it, if you fill it all the way up to the top, it might be a little too much in there. You could get close, but you wanna give it a little bit. You can also use these. So I love these. I use these for mini meatloaves, but this would be great for here. Now, I would probably use like 3 of them. You can figure out the volume to make it exact. And these will take less time to bake because you're baking something that's a lot smaller.
You can also
these are almost individuals,
You can also use a 9x5 loaf pan.
That's 9x5 too.
A lot of those too.
Yep.
Or you could turn it into muffins.
Yep, you could turn it into muffins too. So, the choice is yours here. You can grease this really well, but I would prefer to use parchment paper just so you know you're getting it out cleanly. I'm just trying to push into the corners everywhere. Do you approve of my parchment paper pushing technique?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna fill up those corner areas first. Okay, so you see how I have some room, which is good because it's gonna rise. And then the last thing you can do here, you could even put some shredded zucchini on top of it to give it like a nice look. Or you could put just a few more of these semi-sweet chocolate chips all over it.
I like to do regular chips like you're using.
And the chunks.
And the chunks and the mini chips. Because it kind of just gives like a different texture.
Yeah. Yeah.
White chocolate chips would be good too.
Yes. And what would be even better would be a cream cheese frosting on it.
Yeah, well, we have the cream cheese frosting that we make for like regular zucchini bread.
Yeah, we have 2 zucchini bread recipes on our site. I'm gonna link both of them. They're gonna be in the description. The recipe for this one that I'm making right now, and then also that one. What you can do is you can make that one if you want, or you can just use the cream cheese frosting recipe and put it on this, which you'll just take it up, make it even better. All right, so all I'm gonna do here is bake this for 45 to 55 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna check it at that 45-minute mark. You could even check it at the 40-minute mark with a toothpick. You just want to make sure that it's not pulling out dry, right, Tara?
Yep.
I feel like a bread like this, I want to keep it more on the moist side.
A few moist crumbs.
Yeah.
I just had another thought with frosting.
What?
So we have the chocolate Guinness cake that we make with the Bailey's cream cheese frosting. That frosting would be really good.
That would be good. I definitely think cream cheese frosting is the way to go.
Yep.
And I just put that on the center rack. Okay, next recipe is sausage stuffed zucchini boats. I love this. I make this one every summer with zucchini. I recommend you use not large zucchini for that, so medium zucchini, about this size. These are perfect. Make sure all 4 of them are roughly the same size. For the stuffing, I have 1 pound of Italian bulk sausage. This is with fennel. You can use with or without. You can even use spicy sausage in this one. That would be great too. I have 1 medium onion that is diced. I have a 1/2 cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. I have 3/4 cup of grated Pecorino Romano cheese. I have 3 cloves of minced garlic. I have a bunch of basil here. We're gonna put that in the stuffing. 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella. We're gonna divide that. We'll need some for in the stuffing and we'll top a little bit at the end. And an extra virgin olive oil. This is a 25-ounce jar of passata. This should be enough for what we need. The original recipe that I made, which has been on our site for probably 5 years or longer, that one uses 4 cups of marinara sauce. If you have a prepared marinara sauce, if you feel like making one, go for it, but you can definitely do this quicker just with a jar of this. We might have to add a little bit of water into it just to get up to that 4-cup level, but I think we'll be fine. All right, let's make the stuffing. All right, so just so we can speed it up a little bit, you don't have to do this, but it's better to just cook these zucchini. Right now, all I'm gonna do, you can take off this little end here, especially if you buy this in a supermarket. This is where it's cut from the plant, and this is always gonna be shriveled up. If you have it yourself, they'll be nice and fresh, and you can eat it. It's all edible. All I'm gonna do here is just see where they're gonna probably lay the best, and I'm just gonna split this, okay? So when we put them in the pan, they'll be like that. I'm gonna take a spoon, okay, and I'm just gonna scoop out the seeds. This is gonna be the area that we're gonna be able to stuff.
Do you put the seeds in the stuffing?
It's a good question. You can use them if you want. I don't do it in this one, but Tara's right. You definitely could use it. I think because the reason I didn't do it is just you have so much stuffing here with the sausage and everything.
Yeah.
If you're gonna use the seeds, you're gonna probably be able to, and I wouldn't use them all. I would use maybe like a 1/2 cup to a cup. You're gonna need more zucchini. Or you're gonna have to lower the amount of sausage and everything else. Take as much of the seeds out as you can. You could leave like a 1/4-inch wall around. You just don't wanna go through the zucchini. You wanna have a nice cavity that can be stuffed like that. All right, I'm gonna do the rest. Okay, so we're just gonna boil. I have water in this small pot. If I can't fit them all, I'll just do 2 at a time. 2 batches, I mean. I just want to boil these for 2 minutes. That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do 2 batches. Could have used a bigger pot, but I need that bigger pot for the next recipe. Just gonna soften them up a bit and allow them to not take as long to cook in the sauce when we bake them. All right, so that's the second batch. Run these under cold water just to cool them somewhat, just so they're not piping hot. So they're gonna continue then to get a little too soft. Okay, so I'm gonna use a 12-inch stainless pan to make the stuffing quickly. I have it heated up already. Always heat a stainless pan just so nothing sticks. And to tell if it's heated up, just take a touch of water. Okay, and they'll like dance on there. Might be a little high, touch lower. About a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Okay, and then that's our onion. I'm gonna do the onion and garlic first and just add the sausage in. You could do the sausage first, especially if you wanna get it browner, but it's not a big deal. We're gonna bake these everything anyway. If you don't wanna use sausage for this, you can use ground turkey, you can use ground chicken, ground beef. So you can really stuff these with anything. Make a completely vegetarian one, just use more breadcrumbs.
Maybe for that one you would use the seeds.
Yeah, definitely for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, pinch of salt. That's just gonna take some of the water out of the onions quicker. Okay, so that onion has gone, it's looking nice. Put in the garlic. You could actually save the garlic till after you do the sausage and mix it in. I probably should do that, but I didn't. All right, we'll let that get fragrant, that's good. And let's just add the sausage in. Tara's timer went off. I set it for 40 minutes for the chocolate zucchini bread. It's gonna check it right now.
It's probably gonna need at least another 10, 15 minutes.
Well, we're gonna check it. Everybody's oven's different. We have 2 ovens in this house. This oven is very different than the other oven. So, and this recipe, like all of our baking recipes are for a conventional oven, which, you're trying to go to the lowest common denominator, what most people have. And, convection ovens are definitely more popular now, but if you're sitting on like a 20, 25-year-old oven, you might not have convection. Like our oven in here is 25 years old, and that is not a convection oven. The oven actually works way better than this new convection oven. All right, I'm just mixing this up, and I'll check that bread. Okay, it's looking really nice, but I can tell it's very loose, I can see. Very wet right here, whole thing. So it's probably gonna need the full 50, 55 minutes.
You want me to do another 10 minutes?
Yeah, set it for another 10.
I really smell the cinnamon too.
I love the cinnamon with chocolate. It's such a great combo. And you can see how much it rose, like how low it was initially and where it rose to. So keep that in mind when you're making it. All right, I just have a meat masher here. I'm just gonna break up the sausage a little bit. Turn up the heat a little bit. Most of my recipes, you'll notice, I try to do browning the meat first, and then we'll add in, say, like the onion, garlic. And, you know, that prevents the onion, garlic from burning, but it's not really a big deal if you do it first, because whatever meat you add, like sausage, if you add like ground beef, ground chuck, there's gonna be a lot of water in it. It's gonna be hard for the onion and garlic to burn from that water. Normally, like if you really want to brown something well, you'd want to get the heat a lot higher in the pan. It's not required for a lot of these recipes. In fact, a lot of times it's counterproductive for certain recipes. Like say you're making a sloppy joe, you really wouldn't want it to be super crisp, everything. It just would ruin that texture. But you do want to get some color on your meat most of the time because it'll create more flavor in the pan, especially like if you're making a pan sauce or something. But for any stuffing like this, not a big deal. I'm gonna cook it for a couple more minutes. We're gonna be baking these for a while, so it doesn't have to be fully cooked through. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat off. I'm gonna try to break up the sausage a little bit more. All right, so that is off the heat. There's 3/4 cup of pecorino. We're gonna add in a 1/2 cup of it right now. So just save about 1/4 cup. Same thing with the shredded mozzarella, save about 1/4 cup of it. This is a 1/2 cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. It's supposed to be a 1/2 packed cup of basil. I don't have quite that much there. I would put in even more if you got it. My basil's hasn't grown yet. I'm filming this beginning of June, so I don't have zucchini. The zucchini I'm using are from the store. But by the time you see this video, because we film ahead, you will probably, if you have a garden, you will have basil and your zucchini. Plant date here on Long Island is May 19th. That's the frost date. So they tell you not to plant until that point. Okay, if you cooked your sausage all the way through, you can taste this right now for seasoning, but I'm telling you with all this cheese and the sausage, you're gonna have enough flavor in there already. If you wanted to make this spicy, you could add some hot red pepper flakes. You could also add some Calabrian chili paste into it, or you could just use hot sausage. All right, so that is our stuffing mixture. One ingredient I forgot to put in here, you want to do a 1/2 cup of marinara sauce or the passata that I'm using. That looks like about a 1/2 cup, give or take. This stuffing is so good. I mean, you can use this for anything, stuff anything with it. All right, so I'm just gonna dry these off the interior a little bit. I'm gonna season the interiors with salt and pepper. This is an important step. You should do this when you're stuffing any vegetable. Peppers is really important. Because what'll happen is, even with that really good stuffing, the zucchini will be a little bland. But yeah, I find it's the most important with stuffed peppers. It's like the secret to making good stuffed peppers. Okay, that's 55 minutes. Take a toothpick again, go right in the center.
That looks good. I think it's just the melted chocolate can sometimes be there a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. Another way you can check is just when it came out at the 40-minute mark, it was like very wobbly. Now it's very much set. I don't mind it being a little bit more moist on the interior. I actually love like a zucchini bread like that, but you know, if you were to go another 5 minutes here, it's probably not gonna hurt it too much, especially because it's an oil cake. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit for 15 minutes and then we can take it out of the pan and then let it set for at least an hour before you cut into it, but a couple hours is better. That's gonna give me the perfect amount of time to finish this recipe and the next one. I have the zucchini bread out off to the side on a wire rack too. All right, so passata in here. It's very thick, so we're going to add water to this. All right, I put about maybe a little bit less than a cup in here. And now I can shake this up and get the remaining, everything from the side of the bottle out. And I'm gonna put it in there with that. Let's just mix that up to start. You could put a little bit of white wine in here too. Quarter cup, half a cup. Be fine for the cooking process, the baking process in the oven. You could add a little bit of garlic into this sauce if you want. Or you can just make a marinara. All right, I'm just gonna check this for salt. Passata is so delicious already. And a little bit of salt. Okay, and a little bit more water. I got one glove on. It's just going to make it easier. I'm just going to take some of the stuffing. About there. Okay. And just, I have right here, this is about a 9 by 13. It might be a little bit smaller than that. So if I can't fit them all, I'll just use another little one to bake it. It's not a 9 by 13. It's like a odd size. My 9 by 13 is a little bit bigger. I'll kind of press them together. Yeah, I'll probably be able to fit 6. I'll have to do the other 2 in a small dish. Okay, I set my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I probably could have squeezed them in here, but I just did another dish right here. Take a little bit of the sauce and just spoon a little bit on top of the stuffing. Actually, it all worked out, like the exact amount of stuffing, but what you can do is if you think you don't have enough, just don't overstuff them to start. You could always just go back and add a little bit more. All right, I'm just putting a little bit of sauce on each one. And then the remaining pecorino and mozzarella we'll put on them. I should have had a little bit more mozzarella, but it's all right. All right, so I'm going to cover both of them. I'm going to let them cook for 25 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we'll take off the cover, see how they're doing, see how their sauce is, we can let them, and our tenderness of the zucchini. And then what we could do is to get color, we can just broil them for the last couple minutes. That's all you have to do. All right, so it's been 25 minutes. I want to show you how they look. Just took out one of them. So that's it right there. Now, what I would do, and this is all a matter of preference, take a fork, knife, whatever, and just go through here. And you can see this is a little bit hard still. Okay, even with that 2 minutes of boiling. Don't worry, sausage is super forgiving. You really can't overcook it. So we can go longer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to uncover it now and let them cook for maybe another 5, 6 minutes, maybe 7, and then I'll hit up the broiler. That's going to give them nice color. You have a lot of extra sauce here, which is great to serve with like a little bread on the side. You can even make a little bit of pasta with it. And I'll show you how it looks after we broil it. But yeah, we'll get this back in the oven. All right, see how beautiful those look? All right, so these look great. The 2 ones here are probably a little bit more tender than these. These probably could have went for a few more minutes, but they're all really good. And these are going to sit a while before we end up eating them, before the taste tester comes in, because we have to do the next recipe, which is probably my favorite. Okay, so final recipe here. We're going to do a roasted zucchini pasta with a little bit of Calabrian chili. This one is excellent. I already have my oven beeping right now. It's set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So instead of going through the zucchini process again, all I did was I took out the seeds the same as before, and then I cut these into these half moon shapes. 4 zucchini, 4 medium zucchini, maybe 2 larger zucchini would be fine. But this is the size bowl that I have filled up with it. Okay, I think this is a 2-quart bowl. Can't go wrong if you use more zucchini for this. It's great. We have 1 medium onion that's diced. We're going to use a bunch of extra virgin olive oil here for making the sauce and for the roasting process. I have a 1/4 cup of pecorino romano cheese. I have 3/4 pound of mozzarella cheese that I cubed. So this is going to go in at the end. It makes it really nice, really special. I have 5 cloves of garlic that are sliced. I have about a 1/4 cup of minced flat leaf Italian parsley. I have some basil here. We're going to put both of those in at the end. I have 2 teaspoons of Calabrian chili paste. I'm going to use that to start. If I want it spicier, I will add more. You got to make it your own. You got to do it for you and for your family. So if you test it. If it's too spicy for you, use less. And if you like it really spicy, use more. I have 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes here. I pulse them just to make them a little smoother, but you can use whole plum tomatoes too. You can crush them, hand crush them, blend or pulse, really whatever you want. We're making a very simple sauce. And then I have 1 pound of rigatoni, but penne would be great, ziti would be great. Really any pasta you want here. It's not a big deal. I'm trying to think like what would be my #1 pasta for this. And I would probably say it is rigatoni.
Didn't you use ziti?
I made this video probably 6 years ago. It was a very old video, if you can even find it, because YouTube just tends to surface the newest content. All right, let's make it. All right, so let's just take our zucchini and let's just put some extra virgin olive oil on them. Salt. Pepper. A little bit more salt. A little bit more pepper. All right, so I have a parchment paper lined baking sheet, and I'm just going to spread these out. This is a better way to think about it. Whatever amount of zucchini you use, it should probably fill up a standard size half baking sheet. Okay, so 12 by 18. Let's try to get them spread out. If you get them on their sides, like if you get the piece on their side, it's going to roast really well on one side, and I don't even worry about flipping them here. I just want them to get very soft, tender, and nice roasted flavor when you roast zucchini. What do you think about that, Tara, right?
Yeah, it goes so nice with this pasta.
Now, the same exact process I'm using here, you could do this exact same dish with eggplant, roasted eggplants. So essentially what you're doing is you're making a pasta siciliana, which would be with eggplant, or a pasta alla norma. Alla norma uses ricotta salata at the end, but it's really the same process. And, you know, for a traditional one, they would deep fry the eggplant or zucchini, but it's easier to roast it. It's a lot easier. But if you want to deep fry them, you know, have at it. We're going to put this in a 450-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 25 minutes until they get really nice and roasted. That's going to give us the perfect amount of time to make our sauce and to boil our pasta. All right, right before we start our dish, I just opened up my can of tomatoes. These are crushed sclafani. This is probably the best tomato you could buy for the price, by far. A lot of times they'll be $2 in the store, which is great. I just put a tiny bit of water in here just to get the like remnants of the can out of it. The way they're crushed, especially for pizza, I will always do this. I will always use an immersion blender. Just have a cordless, just a little bit. But I like it for sauce too, to do this. Okay, it'll put a little bit of air in them, but not a big deal. But it'll smooth them out. That's good. And you could also use passata like we just used in the previous recipe in that stuffed zucchini. Okay, at this time you can bring a pot of salted water to boil. I have my heat to about medium. I'm using a pretty large pan here. This is a 5-quart Tefal jumbo cooker. Just something that's large enough to fit in all the zucchini, the sauce, the pasta, and all the cheese at the end. Okay, I'm gonna put some olive oil down here. It's about a 1/4 cup. And I'm gonna put that onion in. This is a medium onion that's diced. We're gonna let this cook until it gets very soft, and then we'll add our garlic. Just had to wait for my pan to get hot. A little pinch of salt. Yeah, when you use a pan like this, which is a coated non-stick pan, you can go right away with your oil, with your onion, everything, but you still have to wait for it to get hot. Versus when you use a stainless pan, you would be heating it first before you put any oil or anything in it. All right, we'll let them go until they get soft. Okay, so here are the onions. They're nice and soft now. 5 cloves of garlic that are sliced. I'm gonna let these cook in here until they get golden too, and really bring out the flavor of that garlic. You could also just do straight garlic in this. Skip the onion if you want. You could also just do straight onion if you want. All right, our garlic is very fragrant, nice, looking good. And this is 2 teaspoons of Calabrian chili paste. All right, we're gonna let that Calabrian chili get going in there. And we'll add more if we need it later, but again, personal preference on that. I'm gonna put in my tomatoes. You could also hit this up with a little bit of white wine if you want. You want to go a little fancy. And we're going to let this come up to a lively simmer. So I'm going to turn up my heat and get a guard on. All right, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to boil my pasta to 1 minute less than al dente. 1 minute less than, because we're going to just finish it in here. All right, so this has been lively simmering for a few minutes. By the way, salted water for your pasta water. You always want to go from like a 1 to maybe to 1.5% salinity. That just the percentage of salt in whatever water you use to boil. All right, this is thickening up nicely. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna turn this to the lowest temp before it turns off, just while we're waiting for the pasta and for the zucchini. We can give it a taste, and this is the point where you can judge if you want it spicier or not. That's plenty spicy. I'm gonna put in a little bit of salt though. All right, so we have the pasta almost done. It's like about another minute or two. Zucchini is done. Kind of time everything right at the same time. That's how it looks. Looks great. Just let it sit off to the side while I wait for the pasta. All right, so my pasta's good. It's like we're gonna cook it a little bit longer in here, so it's not quite al dente yet. I turned up my sauce a little bit. And I'm just gonna use a spider to put the pasta in, but if you just wanna drain it in a colander, just save some of your pasta water. All right, let's just coat this. 1 28-ounce can is normally always enough for 1 pound of pasta. Everything's designed for the family unit. Now, a lot of things are changing in the United States and I guess worldwide where people are not having kids and stuff like that. So I noticed in Whole Foods recently, Bell and Evans, they're selling individual chicken breasts, and that's to address that for people who want to cook for one. All I would tell you for if you're watching my recipes, and you'll notice how I always do cook for 4 because it's 4 of us, or 6 servings, you can always just have these or quarter them if you want. All right, that's looking good. Give 1 piece a taste. Thing with rigatoni, I never like to eat a whole one because I feel like as I'm testing it, I'm just diminishing how much I have. It's pretty good. Maybe 20 seconds. All right, what's nice about the parchment paper, just come in with the whole thing. Okay, just like that. You see the beautiful color on the zucchini. All right, I'm gonna turn off the heat right now. That zucchini is perfectly roasted with the pasta. It doesn't need to be cooked longer, so it can just be tossed right in. But you can mix this up. You could do half eggplant, half zucchini. The only thing you gotta worry about with eggplant has to be cooked when you eat it. You're not gonna eat eggplant raw. Zucchini can be eaten raw, so roasting it here brings out some better flavor, but the timing isn't as critical. I just like to get the really nice color on it. All right, let's pull this off. I mean, this looks great just like this without anything else on it, but we'll make it better. This is the 1/4 cup of grated pecorino romano. Now, this is why I say save your pasta water. If it seems a little dry to you, just add a few tablespoons at a time to get it just where you want it. And I'm actually gonna do that. So I added a 1/4 cup right there. Okay, so this is mozzarella cheese. It's 3/4 pound of it. Now, I want to tell you, something that you can do with this dish that can make it even better, and it's even easier if you're cooking for one. So say you got a pan here and you're one person. You can just shred some mozzarella on it, have your broiler on, throw the whole pan, use a stainless pan, throw it in there, and then it'll come out beautiful on top. It'll give it a different texture. But I like to throw these cubes in here, and the residual heat is going to melt them enough. Especially by the time people come down and eat it, which is going to be a few minutes from now. And just try to break these cubes apart so they're evenly distributed. But if you just let it sit for a bit, it's all going to melt. You can also use fresh mozzarella if you like, but the block is going to melt easier. And it won't stiffen up as much either when it cools. Some parsley, some basil. I'm just going to tear some basil in here. And maybe a little bit more pasta water. Let's give it a little taste. We can season salt and pepper if we need to. Delicious. All right, this is a perfect summer pasta dish you can make. You want to stay outdoors, say, the whole time? You could do everything outside. You could grill your zucchini, add it in. All right, so we're going to taste test all 3 of these different zucchini dishes right now. All right, James, this one is really hot, so I would wait for that one last.
Okay.
You want to try the bread first?
Yeah, sure.
Don't say what you think of each one. Let's just wait till the end.
I feel like the kid from Matilda.
The Kid from Matilda, I know. Great movie.
It's all right.
It's all right? That's one of my favorite movies.
It's not that good.
When you guys were kids.
I used to hate it.
When you and Sammy were kids, I would love watching that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
This one's probably gonna be my favorite.
Let's see. There's chunks of mozzarella in there,
Yeah.
which you can obviously see. Little Calabrian chili paste, roasted zucchini.
All right, I'm not gonna eat too much, but that's like really good.
This one I stuck in the oven. Even though the oven was off, it's gonna be hot.
Honestly, this one's probably gonna be my least favorite. I'm not a big fan of stuff like this.
All right, well,
like
let's not be biased before we try.
I won't be biased.
Yeah.
I just don't like stuffed zucchini. I don't like stuffed mushrooms. It's not my thing.
Give it a shot.
Not bad. The stuffing's good. Not a big fan of like the zucchini though.
All right. The point of the video is 3 zucchini recipes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Which is the best? Which is the worst?
Okay. This one's definitely the best. Might be a little biased. And this one's the worst. This one's really good too. I'm just not a big fan of this kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure like a lot of people are. Like, it's probably a lot of people's favorite thing actually. But I'm not the biggest fan of like stuffed sausage stuff. Like, I've never been a big fan of stuffed peppers. I don't like stuffed onions. I don't like stuffed zucchini. I
love stuffed onions.
I don't like them. They're
So good.
they're not good.
A lot of work making those.
This is the best. I love like mozzarella so much, and like it's so good when it's like chunked up like that. I've had something similar to this, but I think it was eggplant instead. And I think the eggplant one is even better.
Yeah.
But this is solid too. This is a really good dessert. Like, it's just like chocolate cake, like, but better. I'm not a big fan of chocolate cake. This one, my opinion, is a 10. This one is a 9, and this one is a 7.
A 7, huh? Okay.
7's not bad. Like, I've given stuff 4s before.
Yeah, we know that. All right, we respect your rating. Anything that could have made that better?
No.
Okay. Really? Nothing? So you just don't like stuffed vegetables? Okay. Well, that's a him problem, you know? I mean, I think a lot of people do. All right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Make this.
Make that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
all right. Well,
and make it with try with eggplant too.
so these zucchini recipes aren't in the cookbook, but pasta alla Nerano is in the cookbook, and the zucchini soup, which I didn't really want to do again today. You can buy the cookbook here. It's right there. We appreciate you watching. We will see you next week.